My name's Charmain. My son's name is Peter. He was 18 months old when he had his first seizure. We took him to the doctor. It was in the middle of the night. They said, look, children that age sometimes get it, being dehydrated, overheated, whatever. But in the next 24 hours, he had another 3 seizures. So that's when they said, take him for tests and basically diagnosed him as general epileptic and put him on, I think it was just Epilim in those days. He's now 21, so it was a while ago. The medication was shocking. He'd just learned to talk and walk and everything, and he just completely stopped. He just became this blob. And they said, don't worry, it's the result of the medication, but he'll eventually get used to it. He lost his sense of balance, and I think that was what made him lose his confidence, and that's what stopped him doing things. He's a very it's a boy, so very adventurous and always running around and trying to climb a tree or something, and he just didn't want to do anything. I had to pick him up all the time because he kept falling over. He was too young, so I couldn't ask him what his problem was. But it was within 2 or 3 days of that medication, and he became another person and completely dozy, completely switched off. I just said, I'm not doing this. And, it's my child and I'll make the decisions. We had to think long and hard about doing this because now you're going against every single medical professional. That's when I started researching. Now, of course, Facebook wasn't even around in those days. So it was just Google and whatever, nothing in South Africa. Absolutely, up to today, South Africans are very closed and very scared to do anything alternative as long as there isn't a medical doctor behind them. So I didn't really have too much to go on, but I did pick up, even in those days, that diet was a big issue, and all sorts of preservatives and colorants were, constantly an issue. So we just took all of that already at that age out of his diet. That seemed to help. So we actually never put him back on medication again until he went to grade 4, which was about 10, 11 years old. And the school called me and said something's going on with him. Anyway, it was a seizure. We took him into the doctors and they said it's puberty. So then we had to make a decision. You either carry on with my alternative method of just healthy eating, or start him on medication. His academics started suffering. Not so much the sport, but definitely academics. So we then decided to put him onto medication, and that helped. He got into high school, and he was in grade 10, which is 16. And he was okay, but I did notice he'd often sort of had relapses and not be well and have little seizures. Not too many great big seizures, but enough for him to get pulled out of school for a day or so. The doctors would just change medication, so they'd try another drug and another drug and another drug. The seizures just continued and got worse and worse and worse, and that is when I started seriously researching something else, because the medication obviously wasn't working and the doctors couldn't tell me anything. They just said, oh well, this is something that maybe happens. Well, that wasn't a good enough answer for me. We couldn't send him to university or to anywhere where he wasn't in company 24 hours a day, because at any stage he would just have a seizure. So he came onto the game reserve with my husband and I, and he actually became one of the staff, started working here. And that's when we put him on this diet, because I thought, well, we're right next to him. We were with him 24 hours. And within 2 weeks, he was another person. He started driving vehicles. He just changed. He was like a normal human being. And the people over here on the game reserve didn't know that he was an epileptic. They'd never seen a sign of it. Compared to when at school, everybody knew, because he couldn't go for 30 minutes without having some sort of reaction. So the diet was that intense and, reaction-wise. So since then, look, we've never gone back to being as bad as he was at school. He now, at the moment, this is now 3 years after starting the diet, he lives on his own. He's doing a plumbing apprenticeship. He drives on his own. He lives in a city, and he manages it. Being in South Africa, not one doctor, not one specialist, not one neurologist supported any kind of a new diet, which makes no sense to me, because it's a holistic approach to anything. And being a medical doctor, you've got to actually see everything, but they don't. And I mean, it's fine. I mean, I just switch off from them telling me, don't worry, the drugs will work. It was pretty much do what you want. One or two doctors, were very kind, and they said, look, they support my decision. They know nothing about it, so they want to do nothing about it. So I can't ask them any questions, but if there's a problem, I can definitely phone them, and they'll help me with the condition that he's in, if something goes wrong. But otherwise, they were really very switched off. They really didn't even want to know, like, not even interested in it. Really, wow, there's a difference. You found that he's better. They actually put it down to, no, his body's adjusting to the meds. Like, no, he's not. His body's adjusting to the diet. But they really are very close-minded, incredibly so, which is weird, because you'd think that they would at least, well, I don't know, just be a little bit interested, but nothing. They don't want to know. They don't want to know. I know nothing. I absolutely know nothing, but I do know my child. So you sort of think this is working and that's not. And then that's the only thing you've got to go on. So, I mean, I have taken a lot of flack from doctors, and I'm very polite and very kind and smile a lot and think, I'm still not going to listen to you.